My fiancé just proposed to Ivy. Everyone expected me to make a scene. Even my parents begged me to humor her. Instead, I smiled and offered my congratulations. Then I announced my own engagement to Riverdale's untouchable crown prince, Adrien. Sorry, folks. The pity party ends here. From now on, this is my revenge romance and I'm writing it as a power fantasy. Before we go any further, hit subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Tonight was supposed to be my engagement dinner with Chase. But Chase never showed. His phone went straight to voicemail, and even his parents couldn't find him. While the guests whispered and the staff hovered, I took the mic from a waiter, lifted my champagne flute, and toasted the room. Apologies, everyone. I'm sure my fiancé must have been detained by something urgent. Before I could finish, the missing hero of the hour finally appeared, his fingers laced through my own sister's. Chase stepped through the grand doors with Ivy at his side and cut me off mid-sentence. My apologies are indeed in order. He let go of her hand just long enough to tuck her against him like a priceless vase, then walked straight to me and extended his palm. If you don't mind. I set down my glass, slapped the microphone into his hand, and obligingly took one step back. Chase nodded his thanks, swept his gaze across the crowd, and delivered the verdict. Ladies and gentlemen, and especially Sterling. I'm sorry. My engagement to the youngest Sterling daughter is cancelled. But tonight, I want every one of you to bear witness. The woman I've always intended to marry is her, only her. Then he pivoted toward Ivy, dropped to one knee, and poured every ounce of sincerity into the question. Ivy, will you marry me? Ivy didn't answer. She looked at me first, tears trembling on her lashes, then stared down at Chase as if the choice was tearing her in two. After all, she was hijacking her own sister's engagement party in full view of Riverdale's elite. Chase read the hesitation, tightened his hold on her fingers, and silently urged her to say yes. Guests who'd begun drifting toward the exits spun back for the free show. The chatter started low. Wasn't the Fontaine-Sterling match announced ages ago? They're switching brides now? The Sterling heiress barely leaves the house, and she steals the spotlight the moment she does. I heard young Fontaine used to chase the younger sister pretty hard. Doesn't this count as the elder sister snatching Faith's fiancé? Think she'll lose it? Who knows? No rings exchanged yet. Gossip truly is humanity's universal hobby. I smiled my sweetest smile and egged her on. Ivy, what are you waiting for? Say yes. Instead, the tears fell faster. She shook her head, biting her lip, mute. Chase finally cracked. Still kneeling, he twisted toward me and snarled under his breath, Faith, stop torturing Ivy. Take it out on me if you want, she's innocent. Me? Excuse me? How is this my fault? I tried to stay classy, but the words slipped out. Are you insane? The ballroom froze for a heartbeat. Friends rushed over, scared I'd flip the table, ready to hustle me out. Faith, don't cry. We'll talk upstairs. Sweetie, you okay? Let's grab some air. Even Mom and Dad, Victor and Evelyn, closed in to pat my shoulder. Your sister has let you have your way since you were toddlers. All she wants is Chase. Be good for once and indulge her. So I'm not allowed to speak now? You've covered every line. I shook them off and exhaled. Enough commentary. My turn. I snagged another mic from a passing server and shoved through the wall of concern. A few yards away, Ivy crouched in Chase's arms, sobbing prettily. I took 2 measured steps. The speakers carried every syllable. I wish my sister and the Fontaine heir every happiness, truly. Ivy lifted her tear-streaked face. Faith, I talked right over her. And I cordially invite all of you. The double doors slammed open. Gasps rippled rough the room. Is that the Cross Prince? Why is he here? Holy hell, royalty came to watch the carnage? I walked forward, threaded my arm through Adrien's, and grinned. To join me at Sterling Cross on the 21st of next month for my engagement to Adrien. Silence. Absolute. Because the Crosses aren't your garden variety legacy family coasting on grandparents' dividends. Generation after generation they hold political office. Adrien himself left the orbit at 20, dived into venture capital, and within 5 years clamped a controlling hand around half of Riverdale's economy. He is the new apex predator, and no one in this room can afford to offend him. Except, of course, my saintly big sister. Ivy, leaning on Chase, stared like I'd lost my mind. Faith, don't joke. Cross isn't someone we can toss into casual gossip. I tilted my head. Gossip? What gossip? Chase hugged her closer, shield style. Faith, I'll own my mistake. Name your compensation. But dragging the Cross family into this, my father finally muscled through the throng, panic painted across his face, and reached for me. Faith, don't be reckless. Do you even know who he is? Before I could retort, Adrien stepped us both backward. Victor followed, apologizing, still trying to yank me away. Cross, my youngest meant no offense, you're under a misapprehension, Sterling. Adrian's brows drew together, irritation flickering. I held the mic up, he dipped his head, voice calm as winter granite. Since Faith has extended an invitation, allow me to echo it. 21st of next month, Sterling Cross Estate. Our engagement party. He took the mic. And while we're at it, congratulations to Sterling and Fontaine. May love win. Then he let the microphone fall. It hit the marble with a metallic boom, a judge's gavel sealing the verdict. Thud, the hall held its breath, then erupted. Young heirs and heiresses near the back started buzzing. I thought Faith got dumped. Why does it feel like she planned the whole thing? Fontaine dumping her looked spur of the moment, but she came locked and loaded. Wait, Sterling Cross? Their first names fused? Oh my god, we're just side characters in their love story. Faith first, Adrien second, he is whipped. Their voices carried. Adrien soaked it in, turned his head, and gave the loudest gossips an approving nod. I smacked his rock-solid arm. Tone it down, peacock. By morning, Riverdale's front page exploded. Photos of Adrien's unplanned cameo and our engagement announcement, approved by him, filled every screen. My phone buzzed nonstop. Victor had started texting yesterday afternoon, frantic. How did you land, Adrien? Are you trying to sink us? The Cross family is not a game. After the headlines hit, his tune flipped. Faith, you must behave. Keep him happy. The Sterling Empire depends on you now. Depends on me? I tapped that last line, laughing. Victor can't run a lemonade stand. For years the company has limped along on Fontaine life support. So until yesterday, the Sterling Empire rested on Chase's shoulders. Which is why, the second Chase and Ivy collided, my parents discarded me without a blink. They've always babied fragile Ivy, grand weddings are her birthright. Only Chase's stubborn pursuit of me had blocked their swapping plan. Once he chose Ivy himself, they finally got their wish. I was still savoring the irony when Adrien strolled over carrying a fruit platter. What's on your mind? I plucked a green grape and sighed theatrically. Biased parents, a psychotic sister, a runaway fiancé, and poor innocent me. He guided my hand to his mouth and stole the grape, echoing my sigh. Ah, my future wife, almost bullied on my watch. Right, almost forgot. This fruit thief knows every skeleton in my closet. My pity play had flopped. The Sterlings told me to sweet-talk you. I plucked another green grape and lifted it to his lips. Here, let me sweet-talk you. Adrien took it lazily, unperturbed. How many days do you thin? Your family will wait for this golden egg son-in-law? Since we were getting engaged, the parents on both sides' dinner was inevitable. Besides, the Sterlings finally had a chance to cozy up to the Cross dynasty. Of course they'd milk it. The only question was how long they could resist yanking the hook before the big fish spooked. I kept feeding him grapes while I speculated. A week. Adrien tilted his head away, certain. One day. Next afternoon, Sterling Estate. Mom had cornered Adrien in the living room for idle chatter. I went upstairs to pack. I intended to move in with Adrien tonight. My door swung open. Ivy carried a steaming cup of coffee, smile warm as sunrise. Faith, I ground this myself, thought you'd like a taste. I flicked a glance at the purple-red love bites scattered across her collarbone. She couldn't even be bothered to cover them anymore. I really admire you, Ivy. She paused on the threshold, still smiling. What's wrong? I laid the dress in my hands aside, picked up the phone on the desk, powered it off in front of her, and tossed it on the bed. Hand yours over. Ivy hesitated. What are you? I blinked, giving her options. Power off or door shut? A moment later her recording phone came out of her bag, screen dark. She closed the door herself. The smile vanished, her voice went glacial. Since yesterday I've wondered how you hooked Adrien. Looks like you do have a few tricks. I spread my hands. Still nothing compared to yours. Everyone else in this house, especially our parents, had treated premature, fragile Ivy like heirloom china, no running, no jumping, no risk, no breath of outside air. A doll kept under glass, and somehow they raised a black-hearted viper. After she turned 5 she started targeting me, convinced I'd stolen things that rightfully belonged to her, extra-parental doting, teacher's praise, friends' admiration, and my fiancé, Chase. Her methods? Feign illness, peddle pity, splash mud, whatever worked. And she did walk away with plenty. I'd never cared much, but she celebrated every win like a triumphant general. Maybe she really believed she was that successful. Thinking of it, I curved my lips in a soundless smile. Ignoring my last jab, Ivy lifted the cup, took an unhurried sip. I spent 15 minutes grinding the beans, shame to waste it. I nodded agreement. Yeah, shame. Silence pulled for several beats. She set the coffee down. You can't marry Adrien. Why not? You're not good enough for him. I bobbed my head. Oh? And you are? Her eyes flickered, bullseye. But she still cloaked her greed, preaching righteously. Adrien's world isn't something you can climb into. I'm saying this for your own good. Classic for your own good. I sat on the bed, pretending to ponder. I'm not good enough, or you want him for yourself? I already gave you Chase, isn't that sufficient? Ivy answered by reflex, Chase and I love each other. She broke off, eyes widening. Gave him to me? Poor deluded Ivy. I smiled, ticking points off on my fingers. Didn't you claim true love? Let me guess when that epic romance began, the engagement banquet 2 nights ago? All those secret trysts over the years? Or the night we graduated high school? Thud, crack, the sound of something heavy hitting the floor and ceramic shattering echoed downstairs. The three adults thundered up. They shoved the door open to find Ivy sprawled on my carpet, clutching her belly, whimpering. Coffee stained the front of her white loungewear, the cup lay in pieces beside her. I sat in the chair watching, detached. The sight stabbed Mom's heart. She rushed in, voice trembling. What happened? Ivy, sweetheart. Ivy fluttered her eyes open, tears streaming. It hurts. Mom. Don't blame Faith, I slipped. She didn't push me. Evelyn's face contorted, coffee splashed on her manicured hand, unnoticed. She jabbed a finger at me. Faith. She's your sister, pregnant with your niece or nephew, and you dared shove her? Fury choked her. She tried to lunge up to slap me, legs buckled, and she knelt, hard, across Ivy's stomach. Ivy's sob hiccuped to a stop. I bit the inside of my cheek to strangle a laugh. People suddenly find themselves very busy when mortified. Flustered, Evelyn scrambled off, tears flying, and yelled over her shoulder, Victor! Quit standing there, call a doctor. This is a catastrophe. Jolted, Victor turned to sprint downstairs. Adrien blocked the doorway, voice flat, almost cold. Sterling, hold on. Victor froze, frantic yet intimidated. Cross, what are you doing? Adrien said nothing, just angled his chin toward me. All eyes pivoted. I rose languidly from the chair and applauded. Did you know? My dear Ivy's finest performance has always been this one. Too bad, it's closing night. Evelyn, still cradling her whimpering eldest, snarled so loudly her voice cracked. What nonsense are you spouting? Stop your father from getting help. Do you want to kill your sister and that unborn child? I winced, plugging my ears with my fingers, then looked to Adrien for rescue. He rapped his knuckles on the doorframe, commanding quiet. Sterling, relax. The person in this room who most dreads something happening to Ivy, isn't you. What? When he stayed silent, I supplied the answer. If Ivy collapses here, I'm the one who pays with my life. I'm not that self-sacrificing. Evelyn glanced from the pitiful figure in her arms to me, bewildered. What are you planning? I scooped up the two phones on the bed, then retrieved Adrien's from behind a stack of books and waved its still recording screen at them. Ivy's crying cut off. I caught the tremor of panic flashing through her eyes. Our parents also inhaled, sensing incoming doom. The room had never been quieter. I didn't keep them guessing. I turned on the projector, synced Adrien's phone, and hit play on the clip I'd just saved. The opening minutes showed only me folding clothes. Then Ivy entered with coffee. A few minutes later my voice sounded, let me guess, where did your epic love story with Chase begin? The engagement dinner 2 nights ago? All those sneaky rendezvous over the years? Or graduation night in June? Ivy's face drained of color. She advanced 2 steps, teeth clenched. What the hell are you implying? The recording answered clearly, room 107, 10th floor, Goldshore. I was the one who erased the security footage of you two devouring each other in the hallway. Ivy whipped the cup up and poured coffee over herself, voice venomous, so what? You owed me. Without blinking she smashed the cup, nimbly skirted the shards, collapsed, and clutched her belly, shrieking. The noise pulled everyone upstairs, the door burst open, the playback ended. Silence swallowed the room. Evelyn's tender heartbreak petrified on her face. Ivy, why? Victor's cheeks purpled, the lifelong gentle aristocrat lost control. What do you think you're doing? Tears still slid down Ivy's face, she shook her head and gripped Evelyn's hand so hard the knuckles whitened. No, I only, enough. I clapped once, cutting the soap opera short. I'm merely presenting the facts, I'm not interested in the sequel. Adrien and I have plans. We're leaving. It was as if my words had flipped a switch in her. Ivy shot to her feet, ignoring the shards of porcelain at her feet as she lunged for me. Faith, you did that on purpose. You want to ruin me, to snatch everything I have. You spiteful bitch, you're just. But faster than she could reach me, Evelyn rose as well, catching Ivy by the arm. Smack, Ivy froze, her pupils wide with shock and disbelief. Evelyn lowered her hand, gazing in distress at the red handprint blooming on Ivy's cheek. How did you become like this? She whispered. That's your sister, Faith. Still dazed, Ivy slowly lifted a hand to her face, tears streaming as she stared at Evelyn, falling back on her usual act. You hit me for her? Mom, have you forgotten how many times I've given in to her over the years? I gave her everything. IONL. Why wanted chase? What did I do wrong? Evelyn flinched, her grip on Ivy tightening for a moment. I just saw you. Ivy jerked free, a cold laugh escaping. Saw me what? I'm only defending my love the only way I know how. And you, Mom, ready to side with Faith without even asking why? Evelyn shook her head, trying to speak. I cut in. All right, Ivy's right about everything, but I have one small question. Every eye in the room turned to me. I looked straight at Ivy. First time getting slapped, huh? How does it feel? Her face went from white to green beneath the crimson print of the slap. The contrast was almost comical. I laughed out loud. No acceptance speech? Fine. Show's over, let's bounce. The rest was their mess to sort out. I'd lost interest. Victor ordered Ivy back to her room. He and Evelyn walked Adrien and me to the door, awkwardness etched on both their faces. As I reached the car, Evelyn caught my sleeve. Faith, I said nothing. Adrien narrowed his eyes, tugged me into the car, then leaned halfway across my lap, tone respectful. Sterling, if your eldest ever fancies a career in Hollywood, have her call me. He let the words linger. She's clearly a natural. Evelyn's hand closed on empty air, she said nothing. I glanced up, looked away, and gave her a small wave. See you, Mom. That single word seemed to soothe her. She managed a faint smile and waved back. All right, the door shut, the glass ceiling and the pain in her eyes. I finally exhaled. A delayed epiphany is still too late. Ivy had pulled stunts like this since we were kids. No child, however cunning, could stay spotless forever. But our parents' hearts had tilted from the start, their eyes and ears following the tilt, choosing only what they wished to see and hear. My pleas for help were drowned out while they rushed to bolster their fragile victim. Thankfully, it's all behind me now. And I stopped caring long ago. Back at the Cross estate, I'd meant to take a nap. A small snag had cropped up the night before. Victor hadn't waited a full day. Once he was sure Adrien's proposal was real, he phoned demanding we come for lunch tomorrow. Lunch was a euphemism, everyone knew what he wanted. Unwilling to lose my appetite at his table, I dragged Adrien over at dawn, hoping to skip the meal altogether. Thanks to Ivy, bless her, we escaped early. Spring sunlight streamed in, perfect for sleep. The instant I flopped onto the mattress, a restless shadow loomed. Sleepy? I answered from under the quilt, voice muffled. The bed dipped, Adrien scooped me into his arms. I surfaced nose to nose with unfairly perfect features. About the bet you lost, planning to welch? The bet, on how long Mom's patience would last with her golden egg son-in-law. I'd bragged they'd wait a week. Remembering my forfeit, my ears burned. We're discussing this in daylight? Adrien's eyes narrowed, silky and dangerous. You wouldn't dare renege. Of course not. The rest vanished as he pulled my neck down and swallowed the word with his kiss. I never could resist Adrien's mouth. When he let me up, lack of oxygen left my eyes wet. I'm exhausted, really. He nipped my lower lip. I'll nap with you. Still breathless, I shoved weakly at him. Scoot over. He obeyed with a soft sigh. Rest up. The show's better when you're sharp. 3 days later Chase announced a belated engagement bash for Ivy, and mailed Adrien an invitation. Adrien slapped the engraved card into my palm, brows raised. Time for the matinee. So that's what he'd meant. I smiled and tucked it into my clutch. Can't wait. The Maybach eased to a stop outside the ballroom. Adrien circled to open my door. I slipped my hand through his arm and walked in with him. Bigger venue, grander decor, cameras everywhere. I swept the room, sighing. True love, all right. Far more effort than my engagement ever saw. Adrien studied the scene, smirking. This counts as effort? I humored him. Mediocre at best. Guests overflowed, SC. Ions in Italian suits, CEOs in clusters, starlets and influencers glittering under chandeliers. Most of these people wouldn't come running for a mere Fontaine or Sterling invite. Something I didn't know about? The answer arrived soon enough. From the moment we crossed the threshold, I swiveled our way. Already a few bold souls swirled their glasses, itching to approach Adrien. I patted his sleeve. Looks like we're the main attraction. Riverdale's crown prince, filthy rich, scandal-free, allergic to parties. Now he pops up with a fiancée, me, so of course anyone curious about the Sterling's elder daughter's engagement figures, I'll drag him along. Their once-in-a-lifetime chance to network. Across the floor Chase strolled, raising a glass, beaming. Faith, cross. A waiter appeared, I accepted a flute, lifted it in polite reply. Best wishes. Exactly what I wished him remained unsaid. Unfazed by Adrien's silence, Chase sipped and melted back into the crowd. I set my glass on a tray. Adrien was immediately ring-fenced by familiar tycoons. Non-stop, I muttered, retreating to a corner. I ignored the pair of eyes tracking me, sipped champagne, nibbled petit fours. When the room looked full, I folded my arms on the table and pretended to doze. Sure enough, my watcher took the bait, slipping an arm around me. Miss? Are you all right? Let me help you upstairs to rest. Eyes shut, I smiled coldly. Curtain up. The maid stripped me with practiced gentleness, tugged the quilt to my waist, and tiptoed out. Silence fell. I sat up, fumbled in the dark for my dress, slipped it on. No phone, the maid had taken it. I circled the room, sterile, no wardrobe, no hiding spot, the sole door doubtless locked. Giving up, I settled on the sofa beneath the window and rubbed my sore shoulder. So what surprise do you think she has planned? A faint electronic crackle answered in my left earring, then Adrien's cool voice, worth waiting for. She won't spare you an ounce of mercy. I got up, walked to the bed, scooped up the quilt, carried it back to the sofa, and wrapped myself inside. That's a heartbreaking conclusion. Adrien snorted. Yeah, so heartbreaking you're about to laugh yourself sick. I smiled and said nothing. I really was curious what surprise Ivy had prepared for me today. A noise came from the doorway. Instinctively I clutched the quilt tighter and looked over. The door eased open, and the corridor light felt blinding. I had to narrow my eyes. In the blur, two figures slipped inside, followed by a rustle of clothes. They seemed to be undressing. A hoarse male voice urged, "Move it, snap the shots and we're out." Another voice, lower and frantic, I know. They didn't switch on the lights. I could just make out shapes fumbling toward the bed. I shrank into the sofa and burrowed deeper into the quilt. I counted silently in my head. 5, 4, 3. They swept the bed but found no one. No way, where is she? She's not here. They said she'd be in the bed, turn on the light. I kept counting. 2, 1. Time's up. The door flew open and light spilled in. I yanked the quilt over my eyes so I wouldn't see anything I shouldn't. After the click of the switch, Adrien's voice was ice. Well, gentlemen, shooting nude art with a little chili pepper camera? Adrien's man hauled the two guys to the doorway. He peeled me out of the quilt, lifted me in his arms, and carried me from the room. The two men, now zipped into waiters' uniforms, knelt at the threshold. A tiny camera dangled from one's neck. I looked away and asked Adrien to set me down. Who sent you? They exchanged a glance, then spoke at once. Sterling, the eldest, paid us to take compromising photos of you, insisted your full face had to show. Faith, we just took the money for the job, could you uncross please? I gave a polite smile, turned, and walked off. Adrien, call the police. For 20 years Ivy had been used to towering over me. The day I returned to the Sterling estate and knocked her flat on her back, even forced her to move out that same night, how could she swallow that and let me live in peace? Of course she wouldn't be polite. Downstairs the wedding banquet had begun and the buzz was rising. On the LED wall at the end of the runway, Chase and Ivy's childhood sweetheart montage played on loop. I had been in half those scenes. Some of those photos were taken while Chase was courting me. I wondered when Ivy had found excuses to pose with him for their memories. Now those stolen moments were branded as their private bliss. Adorable. In a corner beside the stage the pianist was lost in the wedding march, the notes wrapping the room in well wishes. Adrien stepped behind me and circled my waist. She should love your thank you gift. I gazed down at Ivy's radiant smile and sighed. I hadn't planned to send it. But dear Ivy is hopelessly naive, she barrels down one road and never thinks of an exit ramp. Maybe my years of indulgence kept her so stupid. The LED wall flashed their engagement portrait session. The MC beckoned Ivy and Chase on stage. Arm in arm they walked up, smiled at each other, turned to the guests, and opened their mouths just as the speakers beside the screen spilled the conversation Adrien and I had recorded earlier. The wall stayed dark, but the audio was crystal clear. It began with me murmuring into the bug hidden in my earring, "Tell me, what surprise do you think she's got for me?" All the way to the waiter's lines, "Sterling, the eldest, paid us to snap photos of you with another man and insisted your full face show. Faith, we only took the cash, could you and cross just up on the dais?" Ivy went the color of ash, she yanked Chase toward the console. "Who's running this? Shut it off. What is this? Kill the feed." Too late. Adrien's men had already blocked the path to the AV room. The screen rolled on. Now we were in my bedroom, me packing alone, Ivy walking in with a coffee cup. The cup that shattered days ago shattered again on video. The clip froze the moment I stepped toward the lens. Gasps swept the hall. Ivy collapsed to her knees, tears streaming. Chase knelt half beside her, stunned. I let go of the rail, leaned back into Adrien's chest. I almost forgot, what's in the next clip? At my words the screen dimmed. 3 seconds later Ivy's voice rang out before the picture. "I really love this trophy, Faith." The image sharpened, Ivy, visibly younger, cradling a crystal trophy. Anyone with eyes could read the name engraved, Faith. It was mine. On screen I sat on the living room sofa, ignoring her. She didn't care. She hurled the trophy to the floor and cried, "Sorry, Faith, it's all my fault, I shouldn't have touched it." "Don't be angry." Victor and Evelyn hurried in to shield her. Ivy, suddenly tender, defended me. "Don't blame Faith. I shouldn't have been curious. She didn't mean to throw it at me, please don't be mad." Her defense only fanned the flames. Evelyn pointed at me, exasperated. "Why was I cursed with a daughter like you? This is your Ivy we're talking about." The footage rolled on while the press in the ballroom sprang to life, live streaming, camera flashes erupting. Guests who had ringed the happy couple moments ago now stepped back a respectful 3 paces. God, are they even sisters? Those are her real parents? Looks like Chase knew nothing. Your future wife, hard to believe he was clueless. Wasn't Chase engaged to the younger one before they swapped? So Ivy stole her sister's fiancé out of jealousy? The more you think, the scarier it gets. The chatter rose until it drowned one of the stars of the video. What had been a love-soaked engagement party turned into a public flogging. Ivy crouched on the floor, frantically pinching Chase's arm, begging him to pull her away. But Chase was frozen in shock, she shoved him aside. Victor and Evelyn were surrounded, fending for themselves. Ivy swayed, rolled her eyes, and slumped, Chase catching her as she fainted. The crowd inched farther off, afraid she'd sue them for assault, and chaos bloomed anew. Adrien signaled for a mic, his knuckles tapped once, thump thump. His low, velvet voice poured from every speaker. Everyone. Heads turned, eyes lifted to the balcony where Adrien and I stood. He held the mic to my lips. I looked at the screen and spoke evenly, "Hope tonight's program hasn't disappointed." My gaze drifted to Ivy, now helped to her feet, mascara smeared like war paint. "Only question is, was it everything you hoped for, Ivy?" The sister who had basked in favor since birth, sweetly delusional, finally staggered upright, jolted awake by Chase's shaking. She flung caution away and glared at me, voice raw, "Faith, you did this? Are you insane? You're driving me to," I finished the sentence for her. "To kill myself?" Ivy froze, as if the words were foreign. "What?" I laughed, really laughed. "That's the line you've fed me for 20 years, isn't it?" Every time I brought home an award, Ivy would corner me away from our parents and squeeze my hand gently. "I'm so jealous, Faith, healthy, vibrant, all those memories, all that hard work, so happy for you. But Faith, we're both mom's daughters, why do you get to be happy and have everything while I'm locked inside, barred from living? It hurts so much." Then she would smash every cup and certificate I'd earned, shredding ribbons and crystal. Finally she'd stretch out amid the wreckage. "Being so perfect, you steal my oxygen, make my own birth feel like a mistake. You're always forcing me to die, Faith." But she only ever says it with her mouth. She doesn't treat me like a sister. More like an enemy. She probably wants me dead, or maybe she wishes I'd never been born at all. I muse, "Ivy, oh Ivy, with behavior like yours, what makes you think I'd ever be a good Faith? In some moments, don't I also wish for a shard of sharp glass that could slide, smooth and cold, across Ivy's throat?" At the edge of the ballroom the IV stream is still rolling, so I swallow the words that don't belong and pause. After all, this is Ivy's engagement banquet. Just then Adrien's secretary walks over carrying a box and stops beside Victor and Evelyn. I soften my tone, I actually did prepare a different gift. The lid lifts, a property deed and donation contract for a mansion lie inside. Someone nearby with sharp eyes recognizes it and gasps, "That's Skyverde Manor?" Yes, Skyverde Manor, money can't buy it, and even power doesn't guarantee you a key. Sterling too sure is generous. The instant Victor's eyes light up and he reaches for the papers, I snap the box shut. I smile apologetically, it was meant to be a gift. Unfortunately, it can only serve as compensation now. These things belong to you. I hand the box to Victor's secretary. Evelyn is already in tears. Faith. I ignore the heartbreak in her eyes, look away, and find Ivy losing control of her expression. Just like when we were kids and she'd just finished gaslighting me, I apologize with utter sincerity. Ivy, I'm sorry. A situation like this won't happen again. Back then I apologized because I was young and valued sisterhood, willing to give up my own glory to protect her fragile heart. Now I apologize because I have truly destroyed the so-called happiness she claimed to pursue her entire life. Between her and me, this ends here. The engagement banquet ended in disgrace. Adrien and I stormed the front page again. Everything that had been buried from the last engagement party was dug up, though the angle was a little strange. Sterling too rumored to be following a script, no evidence. What makes you think I'd ever be a good faith? Said it and my hormones cheered. Evidence in hand, one-shot kill, ultimate power fantasy. Cinderella? Nope, everyone here is a villain. Am I the only one obsessed with Cross's doting face? She's making trouble, he's smiling, iconic. Ah, same here. The Sterlings called me non-stop. I ignored every ring. But when the police came asking about the photo incident, I still had to see someone I loathed. Chase looked wrecked. Since the banquet, Sterling has gone into free fall, and the Fontaine family got splashed. No wonder he's wrecked. He was never the hard-working, capable type anyway. Ivy's hospitalized, I lift a hand, stop sign, ready to slam the door. Save it. Go home. Chase blocks the door. Faith, I didn't mean it. On the night of the college entrance exam I was going to confess to you. I was drunk, I don't know why it was Ivy who showed up. I stay behind the door, not wanting to look at him. So that's what this is about. Enough, Chase. Setting aside how many times you've fooled around these past few years. I dragged the words out. Did it never occur to you why Ivy was the one who came that night? Chase shoves the door wider, staring in disbelief. What are you saying? I step back and sneer, the little helper in your cup? I paid for it. The text luring you out? I made sure Ivy saw it. Even the room you two messed around in, I booked it for you. You, why? We had an engagement, I raise my hand again, waving it in clear irritation. Are you hard of hearing? I'm truly baffled. Why have you clung to me since we were kids? Chase freezes all over again. Every dodge, every rejection I gave him when we were teenagers flashes across his face. He looks ready to crack apart. I loved you so much. What's that got to do with me? I let out a cold laugh. Still don't get it? I've always loathed you. There was never a shred of liking. The thought of marrying you used to keep me awake. Being stalked by him, being labeled Chase's fiancé, forced to stay by his side, those were the worst years of my life. I simply returned you to Ivy, like I said before. I wish you two true lovers every happiness. After the banquet the Fontaines and the Sterlings broke ties, the engagement is dust. To avoid being dragged under, I severed every connection with Sterling, and luckily escaped with minor bruises. Sterling, already worm-eaten, collapsed overnight. Victor and Evelyn vanished from the public eye. Ivy was diagnosed with mild Adrien worship syndrome and major depression. She stays in a sanatorium outside Riverdale. Adrien brought the two gifts I'd handed over that night safely back home. The Sterling estate was seized. Sterling was acquired by Adrien. The Sterlings faced astronomical damages and had no way out but to mortgage the very mansion I'd given them. A debt for giving me life, a bond of sisterhood, impossible to clear. That mansion was the only gift I ever gave the Sterling family. And their final escape route. With the past settled, I finally had free time. Yet invitations poured in from every elite family, asking me to vacation here or there. Everyone knew the booze was just an excuse, they wanted the man behind me. Adrien rejected them all and spirited me back to the old Cross mansion. Inside, on a sofa of muted tones, a silver-haired old lady glared at me. Well, who's this girl? I don't recognize her. She wrapped her cup on the table and turned away. I hurried over and hugged her arm. Grandma, it's Faith. Look again, can you really pretend you don't know me? Faith who? Never heard of her. Grandma sniffed, still refusing to meet my eyes. I moved to her other side and cuddled closer. You can't not know me. You said I was your favorite. Don't be mad. I've been busy clearing out pests. Now I'm free, I'll keep you company. Reassured, Grandma clasped my hand and shot a glare at Adrien. Faith was in trouble and you didn't even help. Adrien lifted both hands and dropped into a single armchair. She didn't need me. Just then his father came downstairs, even loungewear couldn't hide the quiet blade of authority in him. Though he looked down from the landing, his eyes were gentle, his tone teasing. Faith's been headline news, my boy here probably couldn't keep up. I smiled up at him, a little shy. Uncle, you're here too. Your aunt made me bring her over at dawn once she heard you were coming. A woman in a plain silk dress followed him down, graceful and poised. I wanted us to have a family dinner. And Faith can help me pick the dress for the engagement. Grandma stroked my hair tenderly. Before we knew it, the little girl became a young lady. I swayed beneath her hand, feeling the years. Yeah. I was 15 when I met Adrien, an entire decade ago. Compared to the gloom of the Sterling estate, the Cross Mansion feels like the only real home I've ever had. On the day of our engagement party, rooftop of Sterling Cross, everything Adrien secretly arranged finally unfolded in front of me. I gathered my skirt, pushed the doors open. No sea of guests, no media lenses. White roses flown in from every corner of the world carpeted the space, and at the end of the crimson aisle waited only our family. Adrien's mother leaned against his father, a small gift box in her hands. Grandma held a microphone, her warm voice drifting in the wind. Faith. Welcome home. Adrien led me forward. I accepted the box from his mother and opened it. A smooth, jade-green bracelet slid over my wrist. Faith. Welcome home. Tears slipped down. For a moment I couldn't speak. How lucky I was to meet Adrien when we were young. 10 years later, dust settled. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up and share with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more great tales. See you next time.